today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon at 351-5358. That's 351-5358. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too. 351-5358.
Hello, gorgeous.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
My gosh, I love these guys. I only hear them when Rabbi Yossi Hecht comes in. Can you hear them?
Enjoy it too.
Oh, you got your headset on good. Listen to their harmonies. I love the fact that they're doing this in the video, like somebody's house or something.
Yeah, this is one of the most classic Jewish Passover songs.
Oh my God.
Dayenu.
Oh, here it comes. Now it looks like German stuff. Look at that.
The Maccabees. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, Rabbi Yossi Hecht is in the studio. I think you probably can hear him, and he's a good friend of ours, and he's here to teach us about Passover. Passover begins at sundown on Friday, March 30th. Rabbi Hecht is the rabbi of the Chabad Lubavitch Jewish Center of Marion County in Oxford.
We're in Oxford, yep.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, and thank you for having me, as always. It's always enjoyable to be here.
Is that like, see, you know what? The Jews have us beat, and the Christians beat. On the music like music for Easter. What do we have? The Easter parade.
Yeah.
That song is way better than Easter parade.
Is it?
Don't you think?
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
You don't know the Easter parade song? In the Easter bonnet with nothing on it.
Okay, sounds good enough.
No, it doesn't.
No? Okay.
Not yet. Like yours, you got a great song. Where is that song?
Dayenu?
Maybe it's the Huckabeats? No, Maccabees.
Dayenu.
Listen to you. What does that word mean? What are they saying?
Dayenu. Dayenu means enough. We say that if God were only to take us out of Egypt and not plague the Egyptians, that would be enough. If God were only to plague the Egyptians but did not take us through the sea, that would have been enough. If God were only to take us to the sea but didn't give us the leftovers of the Egyptian booty at the sea, that would be enough.
Egyptian what?
The Egyptian...
Booty? Of the sea? Did you say booty of the sea?
Yeah, treasure.
The treasure.
Oh, okay. But you said booty, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I went to Daytona for a second in my mind. Okay. 'Cause I did see the booty of the sea once.
And then, and if he wouldn't have taken us to Mount Sinai, it would have been enough. So we go on through all the steps of all the miracles that God did. And we say, even if he only did this, it would be enough. And how much more so that God performed all these miracles for us. So that's what the song Dayenu means.
You know, I have no frustration at all with other religions. I have frustration, forgive me, with atheists. I don't get how they or just not acknowledging that there's intelligence in design. What did you bring? A pizza?
Well,
was that a pizza?
It's close. Pizza, matzah, sounds close enough.
But you know what I mean? It seems to me it's impossible that this could have happened from nothing. How could we evolve from a rock?
Well, I find it more interesting that it's the greatest scientists and the greatest intelligence that are the atheists when they are the ones that see the greatest miracles within nature. If someone is studying the human body, if someone is studying the atoms, if someone is studying the protons, the neutrons, these are things within nature that you can't explain it. There's no way to explain it.
The idea that a flower follows the sun, looks at the sun, isn't that's a miracle?
Right.
How could that evolve from a rock? I don't understand that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we won't get into that. So what is Passover? So you know what I would do if God gives you one question after you die?
One question?
Yeah.
Passover, we have 4 questions.
You do? For God or for each other?
No, there's the customary 4 questions that children are supposed to ask their parents on Passover.
What are they?
Well, the question is, why is this night different than all other nights?
Uh-huh.
And there are 4 specific things that we refer to about the night of Passover. It's specifically, biblically, it's a time for children. In other words, in the Bible, God says that this is a night that you need to reflect on answering your children's questions. And so we do things that are strange that children should be asking, why is this night different than all other nights?
What do you mean strange? What do you do?
For example, we don't just go and have a regular meal. We begin by dipping vegetables in salt water. And we want the children to ask, why is it that we're doing that? We have 4 cups of wine. We eat matzah, which is this, which you thought is pizza,
right?
But it's matzah instead of bread. We don't eat any leavened bread. We only eat matzah, which is a flat cracker-like bread.
Right.
We eat maror. We eat bitter herbs, which is to remember the bitterness of the slavery in Egypt.
Yeah.
And we dip it in something called charoset, which is a mix of apples and nuts and the different customs, but it's supposed to remember the mortar and the brick which they would build. And again, this is so the children will ask these questions. And God says, you want them to ask questions so that you can give them the answer. What's the answer? The answer is that we were slaves in Egypt and God took us out, etc., etc. But the idea is that we want that the children should ask. And this is a biblical command that you need to answer your children. So there are 4 specific questions, but also continuously we want our children to ask, why is this night different than all other nights?
Oh, wow. And what is the answer to the salt water question? Or did you tell me and I didn't hear it?
The salt water question is the salt water represents the tears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we dip a vegetable in that salt water. But there's 15 steps that we do on the night of Passover. It's called the Seder. And each of these 15 steps, each represents something else, either with regards to slavery or freedom. Now, as we experience both the slavery and freedom, because you can't really experience freedom unless you experience the slavery as well. We live in a society that's all about freedom, being free, and people lose the message of freedom because they don't know what the opposite of freedom is. They don't know what slavery is. They don't know what it means to be in a society that is constantly that's not allowing you to be free. Take a look at some of the regimes out there.
Yes.
That they don't allow you to be free, and so there's a lack of appreciation for what it means freedom.
Right.
So on Passover, we actually do things that help us relive, not only remember, but relive both freedom and slavery. So we do things that are bitter, that are sad, and we also do things that are happy.
What does it mean when somebody says Orthodox Jew? What does that mean?
Orthodox means someone that is observant in all the laws and the commandments of the Torah that are possible to fulfill nowadays.
That sounds like a good thing. Is that good? Are you considered Orthodox?
That's a good thing. I would be considered in practice Orthodox, although I don't believe and I don't like the concept of labeling. I think there are some people that like to label people in different ways. I like to say I don't
either.
I like to use the word observant, meaning some people are more observant, some people are less observant. If you put someone in a certain category, then they'll say, well, if I am in this category, then I could or can't do something.
Right.
Where you say either you're more observant or less observant, but we all have the same end goal in mind, then it's different.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, from our perspective, it's as a talk show host, when the paperwork identifies somebody as an Orthodox Jew, you say, well, what is that? Like an adjunct professor. I had to ask, what does that even mean, adjunct? And I found out it's part-time. So anyway, that's the reason I was asking.
So can you be an adjunct Jew, part-time?
I can be an adjunct Jew. I am an adjunct Jew. Aren't we all? I mean, if you think about it, a Christian is, 3/4 of the Bible is the Jewish Bible, right? The Bible we use, right?
Yes.
The big one?
Well, Well, what would be called the Old Testament, or however it's referred
Right.
to.
Is it all the way Genesis to Exodus? That's the whole Torah, or no?
No, it would be Genesis to Deuteronomy. It's 5 books, and then you have another. No, but that's the first 5 books. That's called the Torah. Then you have the prophets, which is you have the book of Kings. You have the book of Samuel. You have the book goes through all the different prophets, and then you have the book of writings, which is the book of Psalms and the book of Esther and some of the other books of writings. There's actually 24 books in total of what would be considered the Old Testament.
I love the story of Esther.
Story of
I
Esther.
just
Well, we just
really
celebrated
love
the holiday of Purim, which is the
Yeah.
story of Esther.
Why do you love that
love
story? What-
Because Esther was Jewish, and then she married the king, and then she had to pretend to be a Christian, but she wasn't really. And then when the people were,
She had to pretend to be Christian?
going to be persecuted, then she, revealed that
Was
she
Christ
was Jewish.
around yet at that
I
point?
don't know. That
No.
was before that. So it wouldn't have been Christianity. It would have been whatever religion
Yeah, whatever
they
that
were.
was. She wasn't, and she was pretending
Oh,
to be
okay.
what
And who was
she
the king that
wasn't.
she married?
I can't remember.
The king, his Hebrew name is Achashverosh,
Oh my
and
gosh.
his English name is
Larry. There's got to be a King Larry somewhere in history.
I can't remember the name. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I
did
love
you
that
see the thing
story.
in the news? And I don't know if it's true or one of those Snopes things we're supposed to look up, but there was a thing I read on Facebook, so that gives you an idea how
So, of course it's true,
reliable
right?
this probably isn't. No, it said that scientists found, is it the Red Sea that Moses parted, or is that the one?
Yeah. I've seen that. This is an old thing.
That they found like chariots and things under there?
This is going back to the 70s, 60s.
Oh, really?
It's been, I think it was in the 70s where officially there was an archaeologist who went down to a certain part of the sea. Some people have accepted it. Some people have rejected it and said that this individual who put together this thing is known for his fantasies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether it's true or not, because the only thing you'll find is that one particular YouTube clip of that one individual that was an archaeologist that officially have pulled out this information. So I don't know.
I love the fact that of the appreciation that is shown during Passover, because earlier on you were saying that they would do something and then that would be enough, and then they would go and that would be enough. There is no expectation of anything more. They just appreciated everything that was given.
Right, and like I said, that's one of the most central songs that we sing and that we teach our children on the holiday of Passover, to recognize that anything that happens, any miracle that happens in your life, you have to thank God for that, and say, thank God. You wake up in the morning, you thank God. In general, in Judaism, I know in other religions as well, but I know as far as Judaism goes, we make blessings for almost everything. We have a blessing for waking up in the morning. We have a blessing for getting dressed. We have a blessing for going to the bathroom. We have a blessing for
Me too.
for eating. Right?
Man, yeah.
Anything that we do in our life, we bless and we thank God that we have the ability to do what we can do, because we take so many things for granted, and people who don't have it, they could appreciate it much more. But when you have something, you don't necessarily appreciate that.
You know, we don't realize that we are a blessing. I think you don't. Maybe you do, but I'm going to say you. Maybe I don't mean you, but that maybe you don't realize the blessing you are for us. I mean, just coming in here, I don't know if you realize, we just love having you in here. The mind, the ability to explain.
I feel so honored. No one ever told that to me.
Is that really true?
Thank you so much.
But I mean, you think about it. I mean, you explain things in a way that it tells me that you were meant to do this. It's like God said to the angels, you know what? We need a guy who can explain this to Larry and Robin.
Well, we do believe that everyone has their particular mission in life, and I'm of the belief that every single thing that happens on earth, from a very simple leaf that falls from a tree, is with a purpose. And every blade of grass that grows from the ground, we believe has an angel telling that grass to grow. Every single thing that happens is with God's intent, and the only one that has full free choice are humans, and humans are put in a situation, and now it's up to you what you're going to do with it. So God puts you in your place. God puts you in your position. God gave you a microphone, and God said, "Go do something with that microphone."
That God's name
that's
is
what you
Dan.
do.
You always involve the community in whatever events that you're having. You always invite the community.
Well, we're here for the community, so that's why we involve the community, and we try to help the community, because that's really the reason that we're here. It's actually interesting that in a few days from now, every single year, the reason that we came here, the one that was our inspiration, was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, who was known as the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he was the one that founded our movement, the Chabad movement, and the one that inspired it here in the United States. And every single year on his birthday, the United States Congress officially, and it's officially signed by the president as Education Day USA, because of the amount of education that he had brought to this country.
And what date is that?
And this year it would be the 27th of March, which is his birthday. And hopefully we may be able to have that here too in the city. I'm working here also if we can make an education day. Yeah, but every single year the Senate and the president, from all the way from Carter all the way till Donald Trump, have every single year signed that day as Education Day. So this was something that we're very encouraging of, especially today, with all the stuff going on and with all the shootings and stuff.
Oh my gosh!
There's nothing that could change anything aside for education, and that needs to be the focus.
I know when you were talking about everything has a purpose, the leaf that falls, etc. And then you mentioned that we all have free will as humans. It's like, oh my gosh, if we would just understand, if we could be in harmony with God's will, and I'm not a preacher or rabbi, it seems like the whole world is in harmony with God's will except for us. We're the only ones who are dissonant with that will.
Well, if we didn't have free will, then what would the world look like? Everyone would be perfect, and we could all be angels. God didn't want to make us angels. God wanted us to be who we are and to recognize our purpose. Because angels could easily see their purpose, but when you have free will and you recognize your purpose, then that's a lot more powerful.
I guess, but the kid who did the shooting, I don't mean to dwell on that, but his purpose couldn't have been to do that. I just don't believe that.
Well, of course not. There are people that don't use their purpose. And had he found what his purpose is, had he run into the right people and been educated in the right way, then maybe he would have used it for the right reason.
Yesterday, I think it was National Courtesy Day, and we were having this discussion. If everybody was courteous, there would be no war. You wouldn't need any locks. Locksmiths would be out of business, right? Everybody would, nobody would be hungry. Hey, oh gosh, you're hungry. Here's a piece of food, right?
So what do you do in honor of Courtesy Day?
What did we do, Robin? We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah. We encouraged everybody to be courteous.
Be courteous.
And then when I got in the car and somebody was like not nice to me, blowing their horn at me, I was not.
You blew the horn back.
No, I yelled at the windshield. I yell at the windshield a lot. I don't really open the window. I used to do that. But then I realized people have guns, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to yell at the windshield.
I love the fact that
children... between New York and here. Here they actually have guns, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that children are so important. You had that huge gathering up in New York that we followed on Facebook, but that also included...
the Sea of Hats.
The children, and that was just so marvelous. Really warmed our hearts.
We recently had one, I don't know if you followed this one on Facebook, but the ones of the C-Teen gathering, where there's a few thousand Jewish teens. They get together, and they get together in Times Square. And they even rent out some of the billboards in Times Square specifically dedicated to these teens and to educating these teens. And they do this also once a year. This was about a month ago
Really?
that they did this.
Really?
It was quite incredible.
That I missed.
Is there a famous temple in New York City?
There's many famous temples. Depends which one.
Because I only, like, if you were to ask me a famous cathedral in New York City, I only know St. Patrick. I know there's more than one. No, there's only one cathedral, right?
Yeah.
The Catholic religion has one every whatever.
Yeah.
But tell me. I'm wondering if I know it, if I know the famous temple. When I was a kid, I used to go to temple with my friend Bobby Coleman.
The famous temple. There's the famous one on Fifth Avenue.
What's it called? Trump Tower?
The Fifth Avenue Synagogue.
Is that near the St. Patrick's?
I don't know. The one that I go to is in Crown Heights, and it's known as 770 because that's the address. But it's just known as 770, and it has three famous roof tips.
Oh.
And if you search
770 Fifth Avenue?
No. This one is the one that I go to is in Brooklyn. It's in Crown Heights.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
But it's a known building as a 770, and you search 770 synagogue, you'll see it come up.
Did you get a knish when you were up there?
There's much better stuff than knishes, but knishes are good too.
What do you mean? Like what?
First of all, New York bagels. There's nothing like a good New York bagel.
I know you said that last time.
New York deli.
Like, what would you get in the
there's all
deli?
kind of stuff.
What would you get? If I went with you, we're going to have lunch. What are you going to have?
I just had breakfast. I can't think about lunch.
I want to go with you. A big pickle? I'd get
Pickle. I don't know. Salami, pastrami, corned beef. These are some of the good stuff. Pastrami or corned beef is the real good deli stuff.
Okay.
I love all of
Sorry,
that.
I took you on a food tour there for a second.
When people come to you and they're having personal problems, you seem to be an extremely good counselor, which makes you an extremely good listener.
Well, both of those go together. You need to have both of those to help people. But we try and help people however we can. And, of course, listening is the most important thing that we can do. We do actually have a bereavement group, and we have other groups of support groups that help people. And people need help. People need all kinds of support and help. And that's one of the biggest things that people are lacking today is good friends, good companionship, and good family. And that also has a lot to do with where we're headed as a society.
You know, the horrible stories you hear, sometimes you wonder if these kids who do these horrible things weren't bullied at some point. And I'm not trying to have empathy for them, but I'm just wondering if that might not be the root of it. I'm not the only one wondering this, by the way. I saw a teenager from the school
saying that he was bullied.
Yeah,
but bullying has a lot to do with it. I mean, a lot of these things all contribute to a good society. And you have to put it all together. It's all part of it. And another thing I should point out is one thing that we feel is important is having a moment of silence in schools. This is something that many of the schools used to do, and then it was taken out because of opponents for whatever reason. But the concept of allowing a child to start their day with, maybe there's a higher authority, and it doesn't matter what religion you are. Just take a moment of silence to recognize on the fact that there's a world that's greater than me, and then there's an authority that's greater than myself. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, whatever you are, take a moment of silence and just to contemplate on the greater perspective, something bigger and better than yourself. And that's another thing that's lacking because children are so focused on themselves and everything is about themselves. So if you have a moment of silence where you start the day and say, think about a higher authority, think about something bigger than yourself, then that's something that's very important as well and something that's lacking in schools today. And there's actually been a very big push, especially in the state of Florida after this, to try and bring back a moment of silence to schools.
Yeah, I think you're right. Do you ever get involved in the political part of this world? Do you ever go to Tallahassee and testify or just speak before Congress? Do you ever go to D.C., that kind of thing?
Well, you try to stay out of politics, but we do have certain things that we try and push, and a few examples that I had given you. Things that are within our belief of proper education and a proper society.
I would hope they would listen. I mean, if you did speak, I would hope that they would listen and not just look at their watch and say, when is this guy going to be done?
And anything that we do, let's say politically, is not partisan political. There's nothing with a specific party or whatever.
I know, but the main mission of politicians, elected officials, is to keep us safe, keep our society safe, and everything you say makes sense. And if we would apply those things to life, I mean, think about the Ten Commandments, just that alone. If we would abide by them, pretty much we'd be. There's no commandment that says thou shalt not bully, but Well,
the problem is that we have a society that is trying to stop that, is trying to remove things like Ten Commandments, saying that no.
It's crazy.
The Ten Commandments is believe in me, believe in me, believe in me, believe in me. Those are the first 10 Commandments. The other 10 Commandments is I am great, I am awesome, I am amazing. Those are the new society's 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You are so right.
So wise.
The commandment I always refer to is the one, thou shalt not bear false witness. Because I don't know. I mean, you ask me a question about God, I can only say, this is what I've heard, or this is what I've learned, but I don't know. I think guys like
Well, that's one of the incredible things, is that God gives power to human beings to make decisions and choices, and God wants you to be a witness when you can.
Can we go down to your...
Back to Dayenu?
And go to the temple. Sorry. I want to be invited to something so we can have some pizza.
We will be holding 2 public Passover Seders on the first 2 nights of Passover. The first night is this coming next Friday night, the 30th, 7:30 p.m. The second one is Saturday night, 8 o'clock p.m. And if you are making your own Seder, or if you're just going to be at home not making a Seder, we have this available, which is Shmura Matzah. This is handmade, hand-baked matzah, specially guarded from the minute it was washed, that it shouldn't come in contact with anything of leaven. And we have these available for people. You could get one sample free of charge. And if you need it, please give us a call, 330-4466, 330-4466, or visit our website, ourchabad.org.
One thing I want to tell you real quickly, we had a Seder at the assisted living facility I worked at like 18 years ago, and it was so wonderful because everybody came to it. Didn't matter what their religion was. And we had a rabbi who came in and did the thing. So do you ever get invited to do that at like facilities like...
Well, they ask me all the time, but there's only so much I can do. I go to prisons too. Prisons, hospitals, whatever is possible.
Gosh.
Have you ever seen the Maccabees in person?
Amazing.
I have not.
No?
I've seen them online.
We should invite them. It's just 4 guys. These guys have good voices, don't they?
Yeah, and everything is without music.
Yeah.
A cappella.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's no instruments in there. Oh, what are they saying there? What is that?
These are the details of it. If God did so-and-so, and if God did so-and-so, then Dayenu would be enough. Dayenu means it's enough.
It's enough. Passover is coming up. I know we're running long. I'm going to end it now. Passover, March 30th is when it begins at sundown. Thank you, Rabbi.
Dayenu, it's enough already. Gotta close it.
Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu.
Life South encourages you to share the love this winter by sharing life through blood donation. The winter season is always a difficult time to collect enough blood to keep local hospitals stocked. So embrace the giving spirit and give the greatest gift of all this year. Give life. Your blood donation could help save as many as 3 patients at your local hospitals.